Number 8 says evaluate the indefinite integral of 3 over x squared plus 4 with respect to x. And I'm just going to go ahead and warn you, this one's gross. So this is at the top end of like what you might possibly be expected to solve. And I would say possibly even above what you would be expected to do. And that's something that you can check with your instructor about. So what I notice when I look at this problem is that it looks a little bit like the derivative of arctan, because the derivative of arctan of x is 1 over 1 plus x squared. So it looks kind of similar. And so what I would do is do some scratch work. To try to make it look more like arctan. So if I just have 1 over x squared plus 4, I can make it look more like a derivative of arctan by multiplying by a fourth over a fourth. And when I do that, that's the same thing as a fourth over x squared over 4 plus 1. So at least now I have that plus 1 right in the denominator. But then I can rewrite this again as 1/4 times 1 over x over 2 quantity squared plus 1. So that 1/4 out front really isn't doing anything to help, but the part that's inside those big parentheses looks a lot like the derivative of arctan of x over 2. And so if we go back to the integrand in the original problem, well, that was 3 over x squared plus 4, which is the same thing as 3 times 1 over x squared plus 4. And so using what we just got, we can rewrite that as 3 times a fourth times 1 over x over 2 quantity squared plus 1. And now it looks like a whole lot like a derivative of arctan of x over 2. And so we're going to use a little bit of guess and check again here. Guess and check. So when I take the derivative of arctan x over 2, I get 1 over x over 2 quantity squared and then plus 1, and then times the derivative of x over 2, which is a half. And so I can be extra sneaky and realize, so let's go back to the original indefinite integral. So I've got indefinite integral of 3 over x squared plus 4 dx. That's the same thing as the indefinite integral. So now we're going to use what we had here and insert it there. But I'm going to do it in a kind of sneaky way. 3 times a half times a half times 1 over x over 2 quantity squared plus 1 dx. So I broke up my 1/4 as a half times a half. Why did I do that? So that I could see that all of this was the derivative of arctan of x over 2. And so my answer is going to be 3 times a half times arctan of x over 2, and then don't forget your plus c at the end. And you can check by taking the derivative and make sure that you really do get 3 over x squared plus 4 when you differentiate this. But you do. It works.